Baal Shem, Abishai, Baal Shem, Hakadosh, double to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the elders and the Akim who are faithfully pushing this word and following this truth. 12 lost tribes of Israel are not lost because they're in the desert somewhere. They're not lost because they are fallen or any of their history has been lost. Their history is still there. They're lost because they don't know who they are in their mind. They are Judah, which are the Negroes, Benjamin, which are the Jamaicans, Levi, which are the Haitians, Reuben, which are the somewhat Indians and Aboriginal Australians, Eshka, which are the Mexicans, Naphtali, which are the Brazilians, Samoans, the Hawaiian Samoans and South Pacific Islanders, Manasseh, which are the Cubans, Zebulun, which are the Colombians, Panamanians and Guatemalans, Simeon, which are Dominicans, Asher, which are the Brazilians, Argentinians and Venezuelans, Ephraim, which are the Puerto Ricans, and Gad, which are the Native American Indians. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, it means he is. Yahweh Shai is the name of the Son, it means he is who saves. The name of the Holy Spirit, Yah meaning he, Hawa meaning to be. Yah, he, Hawa Shai meaning to be who saves. Hawa Shai meaning he is who saves. Raha meaning spirit, Kodash meaning holy, Flesh meaning Holy Spirit. So, that being established, I just wanted to send out a quick apology. I tried to correct, but I was out of order. So, I should have done that. And although his brother said it was right, I feel like I'm out of order, so I want to write an apology about it. What were we going to say? Yeah, so Ezekiel 35. Face against Mount Seir. Mount Seir is the place, the mountains that Eden, Esau went to dwell in after Isaac's death. He went to dwell in Mount Seir. Let's see if we can find that. My history, I was doing best in the Bible, playing tabs in it, and I'm listening to lessons. My history section is kind of lacking. That many yellow tabs, so I've got to fix that. Let's see, instead of fixing it, let's see. Looking at Mount Seir now. And Genesis 32:3, and Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. We understand that from Ezekiel 35, that Mount Seir is the country of Edom. Let's see what else. 36 and 9, and the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir. Edom shall be a possession. They can go into slave. Anyway, going back. Thus saith the Lord God, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. So he's gonna, all the cities, everything, all of his infrastructure, Mount Seir is gonna be destroyed. And it's happening on an economic level already. You can see that there's a lot of economic uncertainty in the Western world at the moment. People, the value of gold keeps on rising, the value of silver keeps on rising. One of the reasons why the value of gold and silver keeps on rising, people do not trust the currency to be as valuable as it has been in the past. It says in the scriptures that gold and silver is cankered. Also says in the scriptures they shall cast their silver or the gold, I think it says that their gold on the streets. See the value of it is going to plummet, which we're seeing happening quite slowly at the moment, but soon we're going to see like further economic decline, and we can see that the prophecies of Mount Seir being, and the cities of Mount Seir, the infrastructure of Esau Edom being laid to waste, not coming to pass. But thou hast had the perpetual hatred and shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and in their time of their iniquity, when the Lord had been reconciled or finished punishing Israel, they had continued to punish the Israelites. They continued to put people in prison. They've continued to unlawfully kill and continue to enslave. They continue to do these sort of things. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou shalt not hate the blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So there's going to be these wars, like the Ukraine, Russia, there's so much bloodshed there. And it will, and they're calling for an end to the killing. People are getting tired, but it's going to carry on. It's not going to stop. Blood is going to pursue. It's going to continue to pursue so-called Edomites until what the sea is reached. Thus I will make the Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from him that passeth out and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys and in thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee a perpetual desolation, and the city shall not return. So we're talking about thermal, all of this is going to end up in thermonuclear warfare, whereby the Lord will actually destroy these cities, and they won't ever be able to return. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. Therefore thou hast said, Lord, I will even do according to thine anger, and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thine hatred against them. I will make myself known among them when I have judged them. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies, which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are made desolate, they are given to us to consume. Because, as pursuant to Psalms 83, which we're just going to go to, this Psalms 83. They've taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy enemies, the Lord and first verse. Keep not thy silence, O God, hold not thy peace, be not still, O God, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, which are the so-called white men, and the Arabs, and the Hagarenes, and the Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also has joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot, Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, the brook of Kissam, which perished at Endor. They became a dung for the earth. And when they say talk about dung, you see that a lot of the time we talk about carcasses, they're just dung. Usually, something is there's waste. Let's put it this way: there's waste in the street. People don't bother to clean it. Like they don't give it a formal sort of burial or anything. Formal burial waste or something. So when they're talking about the dung of the earth, it's just going to be left there. The bodies and all of that are just going to be left on the streets. They're not going to be given any kind of formal burial or any kind of anything in that respect. They're not going to be respectfully taken out or buried or anything like that. They're just going to be left to waste. How amiable are thy tabernacles? So that's the situation that we're coming into in that in him. Then we're going to have a look at Ezekiel 19 or 14. Probably both. Let's start with 14. Oops. So Isaiah 19. Isaiah 14 and 19. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, okay, Isaiah 14 and 19. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will choose Israel, and will set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. So we're going to get to a point where, all this madness and chaos is going to be happening all around us. But Jacob is going to be, the Lord's still going to choose Jacob. They'll call him Amalek, the accuser, because, he sets up a lot of what they might call black culture to be full of violence, to be full of drugs, to be full of, sexual immorality. And they set that up in our culture, and at the same time they're trying to be Hasidic. They're trying to keep all the laws, but at the end of the day, because it says in the scriptures that Esau sought to get his inheritance back, perpetually. I don't remember what the exact phrasing was, but it says he continually seeks to get his inheritance back, and that's by setting us up to be more wicked than he is, and for him to try and keep the laws. But unfortunately, he doesn't fully understand the laws. Fortunately for him, unfortunately for us, he doesn't fully understand the laws. He doesn't even fully understand that the Lord said he will never sort of forsake Israel and choose another. So even with all of this accusations, with all of this stuff that's been set up in our communities inside of what people are called black culture, with all of the splitting up of the home, with all of the sort of what's the word? Incarceration of the black man, the persecution of the black man. The Lord is still going to choose his people. So it says, and it shall come to pass in that day, and the people shall, it said, and he will yet choose Israel, and the people shall and the stranger shall be joined to them. Yeah, so the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. So that's the yet choose. He's still gonna choose Israel. Not until the sun stops giving its light and the stars stop shining, something like that in the scriptures. It says, will he forsake Israel? He's not gonna do it. So you can give up. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for the servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives as they were. And that's, again, there's a faithfulness to the saints. They're going to be not only the people that are murderers, they're going to get theirs, but there's also going to be those who take them captives will become captives themselves. So, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give thee the rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage when thou was made to serve. But thou shalt take up this proverbs against the king of Babylon, which is the king of Babylon, like America and the Western nations, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers, the staff being a weapon, staff being military power, and the staff being the force, the stick. You've got this idea of carry stick, and the scepter being the symbol of oppression. Stop it from being this idea of, I don't know, the divine right of kings that have got a lot of the royal families in power, or these families who feel like maybe they're ordained by God to have these sort of super powerful positions. He who smote the people in wrath with a continuous stroke, he who ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. It says in the scriptures where when you should cease to deal treacherously with other people will deal treacherously with you. Now, from throwing out tariffs on all the nations, Babylon, the impact it had on the American economy. Now he wants to do deals, he wants to be nice. But they're just going to, like the scriptures say, they're just going to screw him over now. Now that he wants to play fair, because him playing wickedly didn't work out for him, he's going to be the one who screws over. The American economy isn't going to survive. And the problem is, people like for myself, someone in the UK. I'm in the UK, I might think, okay, the American economy is going down, but I'm in the UK. No, all these things are connected. It says in the scriptures in Revelation that the merchants shall weep and wail at the falling of back. All that money they've been making for American consumers. So what we're going to see is, and it also says, it's a well-known saying that when America sneezes, the world catches a cold. So when America does that, the world is going to have a big financial crisis. It's going to be a massive financial crisis. It's going to whip around the world, and at that point, we're going to see that the currency is failing, the economy is failing. We're going to see them when they say the gold and silver are cankered. When they say your gold and silver are cankered, your currency is cankered. Gold doesn't really canker. But they're saying your form of gold, your dollar, your British sterling pound, that's going to be the thing that's cankered. That's going to be the thing that goes down. When that goes down, that's when they're going to bring in MOTB. Everything's going to get chipped and have to bring in out. Even the AI stuff that's going on at the moment, it's taking so much jobs, that they're going to have to bring out the UBI in order to counter it as the universal basic income. And already we're seeing things like Apple, they're positioning themselves by putting the brain chips. You can control these devices with your brain chips. I'm very much into technology, so I watch all these things, and I can see OpenAI came out with yesterday, I think, a new thing called Codex, which does the whole of the software engineering job, from testing everything. So we're in a situation where and the thing is, people think, software engineering, my job is safe. No. Because once the software engineering is automated, everything is automated. See, we were the automators. I'm a software engineer, right? And I think that, my job is good, but I'm not trusting it. It says, do not lean go to Egypt for help. The scriptures. We have to trust that this institution. It's really about times, and I said, we're not really supposed to trust in Egypt. I ain't trying to figure out my way out of this. I ain't smart enough, first of all. And it ain't going to come down to smart, second of all. It's going to come down to faith and service and favour from Yahushua. That's what it's going to come down to. We're going to be able to smart our way out of it, figure out a way of making money or whatever like that. But when this eventual crash comes, it will be UBI for everybody. It will be a chip for everybody. It will be CBDCs for everybody. And if you don't take it, that's the digital org. Either Leviticus, I think it's Leviticus, it talks about if a slave wants to be. It doesn't mean it's ever to be free. He can say to his master, he wants to be corrupt in the ear. The same way Karagma will be in the head of the hand now, coming forward. So you can see that there's still it's still sort of like the biblical law is still being applied. Because the accuser wants to be able to say before God, this is, I have rights to these people by your law. That's the whole point. When this UBI, the anti-impunity, let's get back to Revelation 16. And he doeth great 16. And he had power to give life unto the 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, but the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he called the all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. That's it. That's it. Small and great. So he's not even the rich people with the $21 trillion bunkers. They're still going to have to get their MOT free. They ain't going to be anything. It's just it causes all, not the working class, not the middle class, not even the upper class, but even the super rich. They're all going to have to bow, take this chip and say that, give themselves the digital all. Say, bow, Both small and great, free, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and a mark is karagma, but it's also that's when you look into the Hebrew proper term is karagma. But in terms of markers, it's put your mark on this paper. It's another term for a certificate like that, by which you may be recognized, by which something by you may be recognized. That's in the mark. They find him, they should murder him. They put a mark on Cain. We all know what that is. We can go into that another time, but it's a kind of a skin tone, let's put it that way. Put that mark on him by a way which you will be recognised. And so what is RFID? Well, it's radio frequency ID. What is ID? Is the way that you may be recognised. So it's the same kind of thing. Obviously, if you really go into it, it's the karagma. The true meaning is karagma. But mark is actually quite a good translation, because it shows that there's a way that you might be recognized. Let's see if I can find anything on mark. Okay, Google. It's not doing that. Define mark. Define mark. Let's see what it says. A sign or indication of something, characteristic of the nature and point reference. A mark, so it's a way that something might be recognized or a sign, right? Evidence as a characteristic. Target or goal, pay attention, take notice. To identify something, to designate or identify. Again, RFID. So it's going to be a radio frequency. And I looked at a long time ago actually, I remember when this first came up, I first heard about RFID and stuff like that. I remember they said, I was looking at it, I was looking at the specification, and it was not designed for little Oyster cards or little payment processors. RFID was designed so that you could sweep an area. A person could drive through an area and send out the signal to all of the devices near and round about, and all those devices will answer. So a helicopter could fly over and could take a census in that moment. They were designed for long-range communications, RFID, When we're talking about little things that tap to pay and tap to go through a turnstile, that's called near field communication, and it's similar to RFID, but near field communication requires the reader and the transmitter to be very close to each other. That's where you get the word near field. But RFID, when I read the spec, it was like you're supposed to be able to sweep an area. That's what it was originally designed for. Maybe it became difficult to power all the different sources, so they ended up, putting a lot of RFID using near field communication in the RFID. But really, just looking at your RFID doesn't specify whether they communicate or whether the sensor needs to be a tap thing or whether you can just sweep an area. So, with a sensitive enough sensor and strong enough broadcaster, could even be the case that a lot of them might be find a way to power it from, I don't know, maybe or something like that. They might have to find another biometric or biopower source, biological power source, or different power source. I'm not sure that's possible. But the mark is a good indication. It's a fairly good translation correct as well. And that no man may buy or sell, save ye have the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. It's quite interesting with Trump. I think it was Trump who initially came up with it. Because when they were talking about the number, I think there's some numerological sort of understanding that the number 666 is kind of in numerology kind of goes back to Nero. I think I saw someone saying I'm not sure if it's true. I haven't really looked into it, but obviously Trump and Nero have a lot of an uncanny resemblance. So we're looking at timelines next 4 years. I mean, we don't know, but only one man knows the time when all this stuff is going to come to pass. But the mark of the beast is the last major prophecy before the end. The mark of the beast is just all the nations. And already the nations are being drawn out. Drawn out into war, into that area. That Middle East is still heating up. Although they've calmed down a little bit for now, that may still heat up again. Also at the same time. Then they will deal treacherously with you. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to say all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Shai Ba'Shem, the last piece of blessings to Akim and Aqua, especially G Masons, affiliates, like, I was out of order.